Catherine Hill, and welcome back to One Hill of a Life. I am so happy you could be here with me today. I want to talk today about how to read to little kids and enjoy it yourself. I'm so exhausted. I have no more energy. I am just so ready for them to go to bed so I can go to bed myself and not have to think about anything else for the rest of the day. Any of that sound familiar? It was me 6 years ago when I was in the throes of having toddlers and babies, and I had very little time for myself. And the last thing I wanted to think about at the end of the night was picking up a book and reading with what little brain energy I had left for that day. It wasn't anybody's fault. It's just that stage of life where you have maxed out your capacity for making decisions, using your brain for the rest of the day. It's done. It's time to go to sleep and be done. And a part of that for me, I was always a person that loved to read before going to bed. So I felt like I was losing a part of who I was, and what made me me was to read before bed every night. And I enjoyed reading. And I just was lost in that vicious cycle of having little kids and not having any way of making time for myself in that. And it was hard. It's exhausting, and it can feel isolating at times, like you're stagnating almost, like you're not reading anything, so you're not using that part of your brain beyond the books that you're reading to your kids, despite the fact that you love these children. It can be very hard, it can be very frustrating, and it can be very sad at the same time, as much as you are filled with love and joy in that season of life. So for me, I had, let's say, an aha moment in probably like the fall of 2019 after I had listened to a podcast. I don't remember which one, but the guest was Sally Clarkson. And Sally Clarkson is an author, podcaster, an encourager of moms, especially. And I can't even remember. I just remember she talked about how she was always reading to her kids when they were little. And she was a homeschool parent. We do not homeschool. Well, that's a topic for another day. But I just loved the idea that she felt the need to include reading to her children because of the value that could be found in the stories of either just the lesson that could be learned, the characters and their moral compasses or lack thereof, the things that they did, action packed, all of those things are just, I wanted to impart that on my kids. But how do you implement that when you're dealing with, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old? How do you implement that into your life? So what happened for me was that I decided that for bedtime, we would still read our routine books. Every parent knows these. These are the tried and true favorites, the ones that you read them so much you can quote them verbatim. You know those books inside, outside, upside down. You know the ins and outs of these stories to the point where it's mind-numbing for you. How do you begin to break out of that cycle, especially when they're still really, really little? So the way we implemented it in our household is that for bedtime, especially with a younger child, we would still read the same routine books. So like 2 or 3 routine books or stories that we always read. And then I would pick a chapter book or a classic that I really wanted to read, either for the first time or again as an adult. And I would, for the younger one, it would only be like a page or 2, depending on how tired they were by the time we got to those stories. So it really was reading for myself while reading to my child. Then I'd switch over and I have a slightly older child, and it would be the same thing. 1 or 2 routine books, the books that they wanted to read, library books, and then it would be a book of my choosing, or as they got older, a book of their choosing that we could read together. And it has carried on that way. And so I will say it made our bedtimes longer, especially in the beginning when we were trying to implement this and create a new routine. It took time, it took energy, but it also, by the time I got done with bedtimes, when it was my turn to go to bed, I had already spent half an hour to an hour reading to my children. And it wasn't always just books for them, they were books for me as well. So it kind of two birds, one stone in that case. And it just helped rekindle my love for reading and helped me really discover children's literature in a new way and children's classic literature. And I'm so grateful that I had that at that time, just because of the way what happened in the coming year after that. We had already established these bedtime routines, and it just helped me have a sense of this is what we do now. And the gentleness and the stories and the beauty of these classics and these chapter books just helped really soothe me as much as it helped me read to my kids. Like I said, starting out, we had multiple bedtimes because we had different age ranges, different bedrooms. So the younger one would get their routine. I would read to them. The older would get their routine books and I would read to them. But now, as they got older, we are now sharing rooms. And so it makes it a little bit easier. I can still spend anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour reading, depending on what we read, how long it takes to get through stuff. There's a lot of questions sometimes that need to be answered as we're reading these stories. It's all a part of it. It's that time where kids open up at the end of the day when you are mentally done, but they start to open up more. So it's creating space for ourselves and giving ourselves energy for that bedtime routine. So just be prepared for that if you choose to take this on, that it might take more time in the actual bedtime routine, but it's something that even now we look forward to and it's asked for. So even now it still takes, like I said, anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour. But it also helped me rediscover reading in a way that I hadn't before. It was a nice breather. It was, like I said, a soothing balm to my soul to read these stories and spend this extra time at the end of the day with my kids. So we are now 6 years down the line of having this bedtime routine. I still continue to read to them, even though they are capable of reading them to themselves now. It's not every night, because with them being older, we do have later bedtimes. We have late activities that go later into the evening. And in those cases, it's when we get home, it's a shower, brush your teeth, go to bed. We're not doing stories. And if they stay up later on the weekend, we don't do stories now because there's a little bit more flexibility with having older kids, and it's nice, but they still ask. I still plan to read to them until they ask me not to. And my heart might break that day, but it is one of those things that I hope to continue reading on to them for years to come. I have a family member that said that they read to their child well until junior high, and just a special time in the evening with their child. And I'm so looking forward to that as they get older. So another thing is just remembering that now I have to take into account their preferences and their opinions on books. So we'll go through our evening and we'll read books together. I will read a chapter book. They'll get their own books to read. Once I have left the room, they are welcome to stay up and continue reading in their own book of choice if they wish, or they can go to bed. It's up to them. I probably wouldn't put a cap on how long they want to stay up unless it gets too late. And it's like, you guys have school tomorrow. We got to cut this off. You got to go to bed. But I generally don't require them to do that. That's up to them. It's a preference. I want them to enjoy reading, and I never force reading on them unless it's for an assignment. So just things to keep in mind if you choose to take that on, that you need to create space in your schedule for it regardless. You might need to have a little more energy when you're getting started and put it in there. Just make it as easy as possible. So we had the routine books stacked up, ready to go, and then the chapter book right there. I didn't have to go searching for it. It was always ready to go as we were getting ready for bedtime every night. It lives on the nightstand, so it's not something I have to go stop and go look for and create frustration and added pressure around. You can start with simple or entry-level readers, just something to start the kids. I'm hoping to have a video coming out soon, maybe next week, with some of the stories that I have read to my kids over the years to give you some ideas on what to have considering ages and preferences, things that, books, suggestions to read to little kids and move forward there. But for something that sprang out of desperation in an exhausting season of life has brought such a refreshment and renewed sense of love and story to my own life, as well as for my kids, introducing them to characters and stories about grand adventures and firm characters that are strong and brave and are capable even when they're scared of doing things. And I just hope that these stories have been embedded into who my children are as they grow older. So I hope that if you are in this season of life, that you can find peace in the stories that you share with your kids, and that it's never too late to try to start reading to your family or as a family. There's always ways to incorporate the stories and literature of the world into your lives. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you decided to watch this video, and I will see you around the next bookshelf.